All right, guys, we are live. Welcome to Luna Podcast, episode 4. I want to start off by saying thank you to everybody that's been listening. I've been getting amazing feedback from you guys, and it truly makes me happy. You know, it's my podcast and the episodes I put out. It's helping somebody out, and that's the goal. Like I said it in the last episodes, we all need somebody. We all need that person to go to be able to talk to vent to. And it's truly therapeutic whenever you're able to hear something that you're going through that's going to help you out. In a lot of these situations, we go through, it's part of life. We go through these things through life, and I want to help people out as best as possible. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist, doctor, whatever. But I always say experience is the best teacher. A lot of the experience that we all experience as human beings is the best teacher out there, honestly. And for everybody that doesn't know or for everybody that's listening, that doesn't know too much about my past or what I do, I'm a tattoo artist, and I do talk to a lot of people on a daily basis, weekly basis. Through the months and years that I've been doing this, I've always heard a story, and it's always stuck with me. A lot of the stories I hear, I take them to heart. That's why there's that saying that a lot of tattoo artists become therapists in a way, because a lot of people, they use pain to do better, to elevate from the place that they were in. And it's one of the most beautiful things to do as a tattoo artist is help somebody, feel better about themselves, uplift them, give them advice. And it's truly the best feeling as a tattoo artist. As I continue my career path, I just want to keep helping people out. That's the main priority. I feel like we are all here to make each other better, not to take from somebody else and take that honor for your own self. All glory goes to God. If you believe in God or you believe in a higher power, we all believe in something. And whatever it is, I feel like that's where it's deserved the most credit. So thank you guys again. You guys do not know how much that truly meant, when people message me personally and tell me like, hey, your episode truly helped me out. And it's unfortunate that these things that we go through in life is what makes us human. It's what makes us stronger. And the pain that we go through reminds us that we're alive. And all we could do is just be better as we go through life. So this episode, I will be talking about a very deep subject. And it's about heartbreaks and breakups. I think we all have experienced a heartbreak or a breakup that truly left us broken, feeling like it's just the end of the world. And we've all been there, for the most part. We've all been there. We've all loved somebody. And unfortunately, we had to move on from them. And that's just part of being a human. And the best thing that you could do moving forward from a heartbreak or a breakup is to elevate your life. You have to elevate your life, and you have to pursue something more than yourself. Pursue a habit, pursue something that's going to bring positivity into your life. And the hardest thing to understand is why they left, why they broke our heart, why we are no longer with them. I feel like that's the hardest pill to swallow. And sometimes we don't have to analyze all those things. Truly, if somebody truly loves you, they're not going to break your heart. They're not going to be able to live without you. Love sometimes is not enough. I've understood that a long time ago. But it's what truly, bonds the relationship together. And without it, it's nothing. So there's a lot that goes into the relationship. And unfortunately, yeah, just love is not enough sometimes. And I want to break down a lot of these things that hopefully this helps you guys out. And it's unfortunate that we have to go through this, you know? It truly is. It sucks. It fucking sucks. You guys know it. It's one of the most difficult things to do or to go through, you know, because a lot of people, they pick up drinking, they pick up bad habits right after a breakup. You know, it's just emotionally, a lot of people just crash, like a complete crash, and that's not going to do anything good for you. So I want to start off just by telling you guys, if you guys are in this position, or you guys just went through a position or a situation like this recently, just know it's not over for you. You know, there's 8 billion people on this earth. One single person cannot ruin your life. You know, there's a reason why we're given the opportunity to be able to grow from these experiences and become better. You know, we all need love. We all have love to give, but don't let the relationship that was very toxic for you, or a person broke up with you, or a person broke your heart, don't let those people take away what's left of your heart. You know, we are all willing to give more because that's what we are as humans. We are here on earth to love and to appreciate each other. You know, we are only here for a very short time. I know the average lifespan is like, 65, 70 years, but man, next thing you know, it just, these years fly by, and you don't want to be losing these years because of somebody. Like, I've seen these situations pan out the way that they do, and they stay with somebody longer than they should. They can't get over somebody through the years ahead of their life, and they pretty much wasted a whole gap of their life because of one person. You know, just remember, there's 8 billion people on this earth. I think 8 billion or 7 billion. I have no idea, but it's up there. So just understand that you cannot let one person dictate the reality of your life. You have to keep moving forward. You could always find somebody else that potentially could be a lot better than the last one. You know, that's all we hope for as people. We have to live by faith. We have to walk by faith. Because if we don't, we're going to be put back into that situation that you were just in. It's that cycle. I talked about this in the last episode. Your actions have to be different. If not, you're going to repeat the same cycle over and over and over. It's going to be the same action, just a different body. That's just the only difference. And you guys have to understand that it takes a lot of courage, obviously. You know, it's easier said than done, but you have to, you know, take your will and courage to walk away and move forward, knowing that there's a greater life ahead. Don't be bitter. Be better. And you can't continue life letting somebody destroy your life just because you miss them. They're making you bitter. And these are the next things I'm going to be talking about. And I think it's going to help you guys out. And it's very hard things to do, but it's steps that you could take. You don't have to do them all at once. No, heartbreaks are not easy just to get over overnight. It takes time, I understand. But these are steps that are necessary to be able to get to a different place in your life, moving on from a person. And I don't think you ever get over a person. I always say you have to just learn how to live without them. You know, and the best way to do that is to be better in life. You have to achieve more in life. You have to go to the gym, you know, upgrade your life. Don't decline your life. You have to do so much in your life that you almost just forget that person, and you're like, damn, my life is a lot better without him. And that's one indicator right there too. If you leave a person and a few months go by and your life is just elevated and you feel a lot better and more at peace, that's your answer. Like, you did not need them in your life because they're not a part of your life, and you're able to escalate your life into a better situation. That's your answer. And if they try to come back, fucking lock that door. Don't let them in. The door should be locked since the moment they left, and make sure that the locks are on that bitch, because there can't be no entrance, especially when you've moved on forward and you've done the work. You've done the work to actually elevate your life, be better in life, while they were just trying to be toxic. They were trying to make you feel jealous, whatever it could be. People like that are going to stay miserable for years to come. But you take the steps necessary to become better. Be a better version of who you were. And trust me, it's going to reflect in everything you do, not just in relationships. It's going to be a domino effect to everything else that you do, with your job, with your career. It could be anything. And it's going to benefit you in the long run. I promise you it will. Through this time in your life, just know that you're not the first person to go through this, and you won't be the last. There's a lot of resources out there that could help you out. It could be church. It could be a good group of friends, people that have gone through it. And you could take the guidance from people that you see, different in their life. You see something that they went through, like a heartbreak or a breakup, and they were able to elevate their life. And you could ask them and be like, what did you do? Try to find those resources. Because all these things that I could talk about today, you'll hear it, but you have to practice it. That's the only way to do it. You can't just listen to it and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, but the next day you're back to doing the same thing. So that cannot happen. A lot of these things that I talk about, it takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of consistency and action. You can't just say you're going to do it and you don't do it. You have to live it. You have to embrace it. A lot of the pain that comes through heartbreak or a breakup, you have to grieve it. You can't just try to cover it up and think it's going to go away. It's not. And it's one of the main points I want to talk about is, if you ever break up, or somebody breaks up with you, or somebody breaks your heart, whatever, you cannot go to somebody else new, or somebody else that you think is going to help ease that pain. Don't go looking for somebody new. Don't go seeking for attention. Don't go there, because that's where the devil wants you to go. That's where a lot of the bad things happen, because you haven't fully healed. And when that happens is you put yourself in a situation where that new person could easily trigger the things that you're trying to get over. And a lot of people, they don't analyze this. People try to move on fast and jump to somebody else, and then they're back to that same misery. And it just makes you a bitter person through the years. That's why you see a lot of people that are just miserable. And they're like, nah, fuck men, fuck women. It's those people. And those are the people that haven't taken the time to actually heal. They're the ones that are always talking shit about their ex, trying to expose them, whatever. Those are the people that haven't taken the time. A person that has truly taken the time to heal will have a more positive outlook towards life, and not a negative one. So if you could find those type of people, it's going to help you out a lot. It truly is. But just know, and I repeated it a few times already, do not go running back to somebody new. Do not go back to your other ex. Do not go on dating apps. Do not go trying to seek validation from other people, because you are only going to learn how to self-sabotage your own self. You're going to put yourself in a nasty position. And the main point about this is, whenever you do heal, you develop self-love and self-respect. And you know what that creates? Self-awareness. So whenever you're able to move on in a healthy manner, you're able to understand energies coming in and out. A person that's wounded, they're just going to receive anything. They're just going to want to receive anything because they haven't taken the time. They're wounded and they need that validation. And that's when it's truly the hardest thing to go through. It takes a lot of courage and discipline because we've all been there. And we all feel like, hey, we want to feel validated. We want to feel loved or whatever. But you cannot receive the bad attention. You cannot receive the bad validation because you're easily going to fall into it because you haven't understood what self-awareness is or self-love or even self-respect. And you're only going to allow disrespect in your life. And then from there, it's just going to be a whole fucking domino effect. And you're going to be in the same situation. I promise you, you will. It's going to be the same energies, just a different body. So do the work. Do the work. It's, do it for your family. Do it for your kids. Because they deserve a better version of you. Your friends, your coworkers, it could be anybody. Be the best version that you could possibly be because you want to. Not just because you're trying to patch up something very quickly, thinking that's going to go away, because it's not. And it's gonna create the space where you could easily be tempted to go back. That's where the downfall is going to be at. And that's where the self-awareness comes in. Because a lot of people, whenever they move forward with their life, they see them, be better, achieving a lot of more things. And that's great. And that's what you should be doing. But if you don't do that work and that person puts up their wall and you try to go back because you haven't done the work, they're just going to shut the door on you. And vice versa. If you do the work and you move on with your life and you try to achieve so much that other person is like, fuck, they're living a better life without me, it's going to make them feel some type of way. It is. And I promise you, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have experienced this. They all try to come back. They all try to just message you. They try to sneak back in some way, some shape or form. And the self-awareness, self-respect, and self-love is going to teach you how to keep that door shut because you deserve better. You do not deserve the same treatment that they put you through. That's the reason why you even broke up. So just understand that. Be better. Don't be bitter. I know I'm just making that shit up right now, but it sounds good, right? I think it's an analogy just to take in, and it's truly the epitome of all this. You have to be better. Don't be bitter. Become such a better version of yourself that you ever dreamed of. Sometimes there's stories that you are with somebody and you thought that you were going to achieve so much with them, and because of them, you weren't able to. I think that's one of the hardest things to take in. One of the hardest pills to even swallow, because that's when you know that you're with the wrong person. And if you know that and if you miss that person, you truly have to analyze how you're feeling, because it might not be love that you miss them. It might be lust. It might be some type of connection you guys had. You have to analyze it. And it goes to my next point. You have to make a list. I always say this to some of my clients too. And when they're going through something hard, especially with their relationship, I always tell them, make a list of all the pros and cons. List them, side to side. And if there's more pros than cons, maybe that relationship is something that you should work through. Something that is more hopeful. A relationship that's maybe something you guys could save if it's in the bad situation. But if there's more cons than pros, that's when you truly know the answer. That's when it's a situation where it could already be a toxic one. And you don't want to continue that, because that list of cons could only just start growing more and more and more. We get sent signs through people, and we cannot ignore them. And I did talk about this on my last episode with the red flags. And these are some flags that you cannot ignore, because if you're self-aware very early on in the relationship, you'll be able to set up boundaries and standards, so that way these things don't continue happening. Because once you let things happen for such a long time, it's kind of hard to change that person from who they've become for such a long time with you. You know, that's why it's very important to set these boundaries and standards very early on, you know, to prevent a breakup from happening or a heartbreak. You know, communication comes into hand with this, because I think that's the biggest savior for a relationship, because you're explaining to your partner how you feel. You're letting them know, kind of like in the way of a warning, like, hey, if you don't change this, you know, things could happen, like a breakup or a damn heartbreak. Like, it goes a long way. Communication goes a long way. And if your partner's not communicating with you, that's part of the con list. And maybe that's when you should actually analyze a relationship, if you even want to continue it. That's the hard reality. It's one of the hardest realities to take, because we love these people that we're with, you know, the people that we commit time to, take them out to nice dinners, them taking us out, buying us gifts. So we create this bond. And whenever that bond is threatened by a breakup, it truly makes us emotional. And I think communication goes a long way to save that relationship, because without the communication, there's nothing. You know, obviously there's a lot more than communication that you need in a relationship, but that is one of them. I think that's one of the most important ones. And truly analyze what you want from your partner. Truly analyze if that partner is even worth working it out with, you know, before the heartbreak or even the breakup happens. Just try to truly think about that for a second. So if you do eventually go through a breakup, just do things in your life like going to the gym. And you always hear a lot of people talk about it, that going to the gym is one of the main things people do, especially when they go through a heartbreak or a breakup, because it helps you so much mentally. Go to the gym, run a fuck ton, lift a lot of weight, do what you need to, and release that endorphin in your brain, and it's going to help you out so much more. Don't sit in your bed all day long. Don't dwell. Don't become bitter. You know, get up and go to the gym. Go take a lap. You know, go, if you want to start slow, go take a walk. That's going to help you out regardless. It's going to do you more good than bad. A lot better than just sitting around in your house not doing anything. You have to take those steps. And like I said, you have to stay consistent with these steps to be able to change, to be able to come out of this place that you're in. I know it's a lot of pain, but you have to find a way out. Do not stay in the same situation and not do anything about it. You could always take the simple step of going to the gym, going to a therapist. There's many resources out there. And during a time like that, I know it's hard to commit to that. But during that time that you're not doing that, grieve the relationship, but in a positive way. You know, like I talked about earlier, don't become bitter. You know, have a better mentality. Analyze what the relationship was. Create that list of the pros and cons. And I bet you whenever you see that list of I guess, the unbalance that it is, it's going to make you feel a lot better, especially if it's a list with a lot of cons. It's going to help you move forward, especially when you see it like in your face. You're going to be like, oh, fuck, like look at this list. I think it is better for me to move on. Why am I crying about this person? Why do I miss him? And that's when you know it's not love. It truly isn't, because love is something that doesn't put you through pain like that. Love is beyond that. And that's what you have to understand. You cannot be in that same place over and over and over again with that same person. There's reasons why a lot of relationships, they go longer than they should. And that's why I said analyze the relationship earlier before it gets worse. Do the list. I think that's going to be the best advice I can give you guys. Do the list of the pros and cons, because that's going to show you in your face what the relationship really is. And be honest with yourself through, when you are making that list. Because if you're not, you're going to manipulate your own self. You're going to gaslight your own self to the reality of what it actually is. So be honest with yourself and make the right decision early on before it gets worse later on. Especially if you're with somebody that doesn't want to work through things. If it's a person that's very passive, man, you're going to be in a worse situation, because a person like that does not communicate. And like I talked about it earlier, you need to be with somebody that communicates. And if you don't have that, it's only going to make it that much more difficult. And I think at that point, your answer is almost clear, because you cannot change somebody. I think that's one of the most difficult things to accept in a person is like, you've tried everything. You've tried everything. You've tried through months, through years, to try to change somebody and their ways to be a better partner for you. But you have to sit there and truly be like, you know what, how many more years, how many more months am I going to put up with this? I think you put up with it enough. And you just keep giving them the benefit of the doubt, or they're going to lie to you and be like, you know what, I am going to change for you. And then next week, they're just back to doing the same old thing that pissed you off. And a person like that is truly going to be in that same place over and over. So take control of your life for once. Don't depend on somebody that you cannot depend on anymore, especially when you've tried for such a long time. You have to take that courage inside of you and be like, you know what, I deserve better. I can no longer be in a situation like this. And you're the one that's going to be in control. And I think that's going to send a signal to somebody and be like, you know what, maybe I should change. Sometimes that sucks, because when you do try to break up with somebody, knowing that person did wrong to you, or they're doing something that is not benefiting the relationship and it's only going to cripple it, it's always at the end where people are like, oh my God, I think I'm going to finally change and this and that. And most of the time it's just garbage. People are creatures of habit, and we have habits that we've built through time. And unfortunately, a lot of those habits are not good ones. And they're just going to try to lie to you in that moment and be like, you know what, I am going to change. But it's the same routine over and over. That happens every single month, every single year. They say that they're going to change. But a person that truly loves you will instantly change for you. They won't lie to you about it. They will actually take you serious and be like, you know what, I am going to commit to that person. And I am going to give them my best version to be my best self for my partner. So analyze a lot of these things, especially if you're in a position where you're going to break up, because that creates obviously a lot of pain as well. We don't ever want to break up with somebody that we actually love and we see a future with. But when is it going to be enough? That's the true question. Are you going to wait in that situation for years? Are your kids going to see mommy and daddy being pissed off at each other all the time? Are you going to raise your children in a household where they don't understand what love is? It's a lot of things to analyze. And that's the thing that sucks, because a lot of people, they only stay together because of the kids. A lot of divorces are initiated by women, and it's like 70%. And I think I'm giving you guys some insight as to what happens with women, because I talked about it in the last podcast towards the end of the episode. I said, we are in this rut because of weak men. And a lot of these women, I don't blame them. That statistic is scary, yes, but a lot of men are just not being men. A lot of women are just with pussies. I hate saying it like that, but it's just a reality. And women are tired of it. So I don't blame them for divorcing these guys. They don't deserve a woman that's actually truly willing to be a wife and actually do the work that it takes to be a wife for their husband. Obviously it's not the same case in all cases. There's a lot of bad apples for women and men, but in this situation, it's a hard one for women, because they deal with men that are not men. They're almost dealing with just children or boys, like they're the ones that are doing most of the job in the house. They can't rely on their husband. They can't rely on their boyfriend. They can't rely on anything. And it truly is tiring for them. And I don't blame them. So analyze the relationship, like I said. A lot of the things that we go through could easily be fixed if you analyze it very soon enough before it gets too late. Because if you let it go for such a long time, like I told you earlier, it's very hard to change a person that has created these habits through time. It's hard to be like, oh, you better change this, but they've done this for like 10 years. It's kind of hard to take them away from that, especially when they're used to you in a certain light. So just truly understand that you deserve better. For men and women, you both deserve better. If you're dealing with somebody that you might break up with them because they're not being their best self, you've already told them, you've already done therapy, and it doesn't help, move on with your life. I don't want to be somebody to tell somebody what to do with their own life, but it could save you a lot of headaches. I've been through it. I've seen a lot of people go through it. A lot of my clients, they go through this so much, and I hear the same story, always. And they're like, damn, I should have just left them sooner. They all say the same thing whenever they're already like 10 years deep, 15 years deep, 20 years. It could be such a long time. And they could have done so much in life if they made the decision a lot sooner. It's a hard pill to swallow. This is a very hard situation to even talk about because it's life-changing. It's not something that you could just be like, oh, bye, and move on with your life. No, it's so much more than that, especially if you have kids. If you have kids, it makes it that much more difficult. And it's reasons why a lot of people stay in the same situation. But like I said, are you going to teach your kids what love is, or are you going to show them what love isn't? That's the true reality of that. And it's something to think about. So stay strong. Please stay strong through all these times that you might be going through this. Some people that are listening, you guys might not be going through a breakup or a heartbreak right now, but in case you do in the future, these are steps that could potentially help you. Or even if you're in a situation with somebody that you're having a lot of hardships, a lot of these things that I'm talking about could actually help you out, because it could prevent the breakup from even happening. So hopefully it helps you guys out. And I'm pouring my knowledge onto you guys and, trying to change some minds out there and touch some hearts, because we all need it. I need it sometimes too, and most of the time I just sit here and listen to podcasts, listen to a lot of motivational videos. Like, all that stuff helps out. I mentioned it in the last episode. Whatever you feed into your mind, you're going to become. That's what you're going to become. And if you listen to a lot of negativity, you're going to become that. You have to put yourself in a place where you're absorbing a lot of great positive energy into your life, especially when dealing with something like this. Because if you don't, you're going to become bitter, and you're going to become such a version that you're not going to recognize anymore, and that's scary. That's not something that you want to become. Like I said, be better, not bitter. Take that to heart, honestly. Might sound a little corny, but it's the reality. It's the reality of accepting that you deserve more in life. You deserve a happy life. Don't let somebody else dictate how you feel in your life. Especially if they hurt you, especially if they put you through trauma. Fuck them. Fuck them and close that fucking door and lock it. And don't look back. So if that situation does happen, where somebody breaks your heart, completely just shatters you, you better make sure that the next step in your life, you elevate it. You become something great. You do so much in your life that it shocks the other person. Because that other person's going to be looking, especially when somebody breaks your heart, somebody that cheats on you, somebody that causes you trauma. Those are the people that they have narcissistic traits. So eventually they're going to try to come back. That's what narcissists do. And I'm going to talk about that right now. I'm going to give you guys a little extra subject on this episode, and it's about narcissists. It's going to make you understand why people break up and then they come back together. It's like you always see it with your friends. You always see it with somebody, like they'll break up and then they're back together like next week or next month. Somebody in that relationship is a narcissist. And it's unfortunate. That's the reality. Because somebody that actually tries to actually move forward, they want to better their life. They don't want to go back to something that was, garbage pretty much. A place that nothing ever grew. There's a reason why people break up. And yeah, I'll talk about it right now here in a little bit. But what I was saying is, if you are going through a breakup that was caused through a heartbreak, elevate your life. Truly take your life to something better. Do not stay in the same situation. Don't be at home crying. It is normal to do that. Take that time, because I understand that little time right after. Grieve it, but try to get out of it quickly as possible. Because the longer you stay there, the more you're going to become bitter. It could create those emotions of missing them, and then they'll message you, and then you're back to the same situation. It's that same routine. You have to set a time frame whenever that breakup does happen, and be like, you know what? Let me take this time to grieve, but understand, don't take too long. Everybody's different. Everybody handles situations different. I understand that, but fuck, I don't even know what could be longer, what could be short. I would probably say like a month. Take a month to actually truly grieve. They always say, if you ever were with somebody for 3 years, it's going to take you 3 years to get over them. And I think that's true. I think that's something that we all go through, because we get used to somebody for so long. And whenever that person exits our life, it's very hard to just adjust your life without them. And that's when the emotions start coming in. That's when we start missing them. And that's why people end up back with that person, because that narcissist, especially like I said, if that person that hurt you tries to come back and you accept them back, guess what? You're going to go through the same routine. So somebody screws you over, walk away for good. Walk away for good. Don't entertain it anymore. Walk away and become something better. And don't look back. Take the time to grieve. Do not go looking through their social media. Don't be looking at their friend stuff, trying to reach to people and see how they're doing. No, because you're only holding yourself back from truly healing. And like I talked about it before, through the healing that you do through something like this, it creates self-love, self-respect, and self-awareness. And whenever you don't achieve that, you're gonna keep opening up energies that are not gonna be good for you. You're just gonna be accepting anything in your life, even that shitty ex that you had. You're just gonna be very naive to things like that. So take the time, heal. We've all gone through it. And people come out better from it, especially if it was a bad situation. Let that motivate you. Let that motivate you and take you to that next step in your life. And if your life gets better because they're not in it, you know that you were with the wrong person. You know, if you start achieving so much, you start doing so much, you start traveling, you're actually smiling, you're actually happy, you know you were with the wrong person. Because all those things, if you were with the right person, you would have been smiling just right next to them. But if you're if you're smiling and doing all these things after, that lets you know that you were with the wrong person. And a lot of people, they are with the wrong person and they're only making excuses and giving the benefit of the doubt to stay with that person, but you're miserable. And that's a hard pill to swallow. You have to take your life back, especially if you're in that situation. Now, if it's a relationship where you both love each other, and, well, I'll say it like this, because usually when a breakup happens, usually it's one person loving the other more than the other. And whenever you break up and you still love that person, I feel like that's the hardest one of breakups besides the actual heartbreak, because you carry that moving forward without them in your life, because you made so many plans with them. You truly still love them for whatever reason it could be. You know, it could be a good one. But I think that's the saddest one. That's the hardest one to truly walk away from. And that's when you need the most courage. And the best advice I could give you with that one is pretty much what I just talked about. You know, you have to take the same steps, as hard as it is, you know, because you know that relationship potentially could have worked, but because of whatever reasons you guys had to part ways, you're going to have to forcefully almost do the same thing that I just talked about. Go to the gym, elevate your life, and truly do the best to not ever go back, because like I talked about it right now, whenever you're breaking up with somebody that's toxic, that causes you trauma, it motivates you, especially when you move forward. You know, that's why people become better. That's why I talk about the become better, not bitter. I feel like in that situation, elevate your life and make them feel that they missed out on you. Make them feel like they shouldn't have walked away from your life. You know, that's a motivation, but it's only making you better. You're only elevating your life. Yeah, you are living with some type of vengeance in the way, but you're putting your energy in a good place, you know, and it's only going to improve your life if you take those steps to actually improve your life. There's many things that you could do that are not toxic. Seeking vengeance, and I don't think seeking vengeance is going to do anything. You should just worry about yourself, you know. Use that little motivation of somebody hurting you, but use it as good. I think I used the wrong word. Don't use vengeance, because vengeance is more revenge towards that person. So the better word is evolve. I think that's all we could do is evolve. You know, just like a phoenix does from the burning fires. They come out and elevate it. You elevate your life to a whole extreme, and you're this light. I think that's the best word. I think I used the wrong one right now, you know, because I don't want you guys to go seek vengeance and shit. Yeah, the right word is evolve, not vengeance. I think vengeance is a little toxic, a little too aggressive. And that's one of the things that we have to understand as human beings, you know. We cannot carry that hurt with us and try to hurt others. Use that pain to motivate you to do something greater. You know, even if it is to make other people feel that they shouldn't have left you, but in a positive manner, not in a toxic way, in a positive manner, to where you know you're worth this person that you're becoming. Because if you stay in the same situation, of bitterness, who's going to miss that? Nobody's going to miss that. A person that moves on and elevates their life and is actually doing the work, you're like, fuck, man. It truly, I put myself in that situation with, personal experiences of if somebody that I broke up with, and obviously I'm doing the work to heal, but they're doing the work to heal too. I'm like, fuck, like it does make you miss that person, because they are doing the work, seeking God, seeking therapy, and doing the actual work that's going to benefit their life. But whenever somebody doesn't do that, you see them with new people, seeking validation from strangers, like crazy. You don't miss that at all. You truly don't. It's like, well, fuck, like they're not doing the work. And what is there to miss? They're already laying in bed with somebody new. It's like, at that point, it's like, what it is. It's like you dodged a bullet at that point. You dodged a big bullet, because how they say a person truly shows you their true colors whenever something like this happens through a breakup. True colors come out. And that's why I'm trying to give you guys a perspective of how men and women, well, I can only speak for men, but yeah, if I ever broke up with somebody and that woman is actually changing, she's becoming such a beautiful version, I'm like, fuck, man. It truly hits you. It really does. I'm just going to be honest. It truly hits you, and you're like, yeah, I should have stayed. Maybe I could have worked it out. Just like everything I've been talking about, it truly does hit you as a human being. And it makes you question who you are, but you should only analyze who you are as a person. That's what I just talked about, is analyze who you are, change for the better, and it's only going to benefit everybody around you. Don't miss that person that actually, just moved on and jumped somewhere else. They're pretty much a walking red flag at that point. It's like, thank God they walked out of my life. God forbid what else would have happened if I would have stayed with them. That's nothing to miss at all. I think it's an easier way to step away from somebody, knowing that they're not a good person. So if that gives you guys some clarity on that, it's the analyzation of what really happened or what you're really truly going through. And it could all help you guys out. It truly can. But truly analyze who you were with. Truly analyze who you were with, and it's gonna make your life a lot easier. It's gonna truly give you the answers that you need. And a lot of those answers, you're gonna get them through that list of the pros and cons. It's going to be right in your face, and it's going to be like, oh, fuck, this is what that person was. And this is who they're becoming. And like I talked about, is like, whenever you break up, sometimes you see the true colors in people. You see almost the dark side of people. And that's when you're like, fuck, I dodged a bullet. And you should be proud of yourself, because you took the courage to be able to walk away from something that was gonna destroy you in the long term. Because imagine you stay with somebody that you thought that they were gonna be the one. You thought that they were gonna be that person for you for the rest of your life. But they have all these bad habits. Bad habits are for a reason, and you're supposed to not ignore those red flags. I talked about it before. Do not ignore red flags, because it's eventually going to catch up, especially when a person has so many red flags. You'd think that their red flags are just going to go away because they're with you. No, they're not. Us as human beings, we're creatures of habit, and whatever somebody shows you, that's who they are. Sometimes when you're with somebody, or you're somebody new, in the first 3 months, that's when you should truly pay attention who they are as a person, because people can't hide, or they can't have a mask on for such a long time. The real version of who they are eventually comes out. You have to analyze people. even when you're with them, even when you're about to potentially break up with them, or even when they break your heart. And whenever you do the analyzation, it gives you the answer. It truly does. Make the list. Don't just hear it. Fucking go right now, wherever you're at. If you're listening to this in your home, in your car, grab your phone in the next stoplight or something and start writing the notes down. You have to do this quick, especially if it's something that it's very painful to you. Make the list. I think that's the best advice I could give you. Make the list. And it's going to clarify a lot of things for you. So going on to the next part of this episode, I want to talk about the narcissism. And the reason why narcissism goes into hand with this is because it's what causes a lot of heartbreak. A lot of heartbreaks to happen, a lot of breakups to happen. It's one of the main fucking things that happen as to why people get hurt. And people ignore the red flags of a narcissist. And truly, the word narcissist, it just gets tossed around like fucking candy everywhere, and sometimes people are like, oh, you're a fucking narcissist, this and that. Like, well, do you know what a narcissist is? Like, I think we all have some type of narcissist trait. I think we all do, we all fucking do it, but if you do it in a way where it's toxic, where it's hurting people, where you're using people to your advantage, you're a piece of shit. Like, I think we're all human beings. We're not perfect. But if you're a fucking person that takes advantage of people and you have these traits of a narcissist, yeah, I just don't fucking hurt people like that. The people deserve better, because there's people out there that truly want to do good and are ready to commit, truly trying to make a relationship work. And if you have these traits, you're only going to hurt people. So like I said, I think we all have narcissistic behaviors in some shape, way, or form, whatever it could be. But like I talked about right now, analyze not just the people you're with, but yourself. Analyze what you do, where it could help you out, and understand what you're dealing with, or to even know if you're the problem. That's why I'm speaking like this to you guys, because sometimes accountability is one of the hardest things to accept. And I've had to do it. Nobody's perfect. We all go through mistakes. We all make mistakes. But are we willing to change? Are we willing to accept the reality of what we caused to the other person? And once we analyze and we actually make the changes, we become better human beings. And that's all we can do. That's the chance that we have in life, is to evolve as people and become better because of it. Before we continue, we're going to take a quick little break to hear the sponsorship for this episode. This episode is sponsored by Luna Tattoo and Luna Smoke Shop Mobile. For anybody that is listening for the first time and don't know too much about my backstory, but I am a tattoo artist. I've been in the industry for over 10 years. I specialize in color realism and black and gray realism. I'm able to achieve a lot of different styles that deal with color and black and gray. So if you guys need some work, you guys could go on lunatattoos.com. You guys will be able to fill out a form, and you guys could be very descriptive of what you guys want. And my assistant will actually be the one that's going to be responding to you guys. So if you guys need some work, let me know. Luna Smoke Shop Mobile. We are elevating this business to go to the next level here in El Paso, Texas. We're creating a website where you could easily jump in there and order what you need from a smoke shop delivered to your house. Nobody in El Paso is doing this. And I'm elevating this to give you guys the best experience and truly making it more of a convenience for you guys. And it's something that's going to be very enjoyable for everybody that's here in El Paso, Texas. So be on the lookout. It's coming soon. That's something that me and my marketing team are working on right now as we speak. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of things to put into the website, but this will come soon. The Smoke Shop Mobile is something that is very new to the city, and I'm truly trying to give everybody a new experience outside of what they're used to walking into a smoke shop. Instead, the smoke shop is going to come to you. So be on the lookout. You guys could go on Instagram and find the business under Luna Smoke Shop and Luna Smoke Mobile. These are the two pages where I put everything out, especially with the Luna Smoke Mobile. I'm able to show you guys where I'm at, where I'm parked at. So if you guys are in the area, you guys could just easily hit me up and I'll be there. Thank you guys all for the support and enjoy the rest of this episode. So on this episode, I wanted to give you guys an extra bonus, and it's talking about the narcissist. I know I mentioned it earlier on this episode as to why this could be a potential reason why a lot of breakups happen, a lot of heartbreaks, a lot of fucked up people leaving people traumatized. So I did want to speak on it, and hopefully it helps you guys out, because breakups are very hard in general. They're one of the most difficult things to go through. But whenever you're breaking up with a narcissist, I feel like this is like next level. It is extremely difficult to move on fully from somebody that's a narcissist. You know, they cause a lot of trauma. They gaslight you. They manipulate your reality. It makes it extremely hard to just walk away. And the reasons for this is because you created a trauma bond with that person. And that trauma bond is what keeps you going back to that same person over and over, because they know you so well that they know how to lure you back in, and then you're back in that same fucking misery. And it's just it's the same routine over and over. And I want you guys to understand that this is what narcissists do very well. You know, they are people that know how to put on a mask when they're with you or when you break up with them. One of the first masks is they almost do not want to believe that you want to move on from them. And they put you through a guilt trip. They're like, oh, you're never going to find anything better than me. I'm probably the best version that you're ever going to find. That's what narcissists do. They put you through this guilt trip so that way they keep you there. A narcissist, they need somebody to use, to abuse. You know, there's a lot of things that they need. So whenever you walk away from somebody like that, it's very dangerous almost sometimes. This is where the true toxicity of a fucking relationship goes to a whole different level. And that's when you know you've been dealing with a narcissist this whole time. And breaking up with a narcissist is not an easy one. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen people, or you've gone through it yourself, where you break up with somebody and they're back with that person next week, next month. You know, they can go such a long time without being with each other because somebody in that relationship was a narcissist. They manipulated somebody else to believing that they've actually changed, that they're actually going to change. But truly, they're only wanting you back because they need somebody to abuse. They need somebody to be a target for them. They live off of that. You know, narcissists, they love to take. Narcissists are not givers. They're going to drain you fucking dry, and you're going to be left there like, what the fuck did I just go through? And it's one of the hardest things to go through, you know, because you as a person, you thought this person was genuine with you. And later you find out that they were just lying to you, manipulating you. And that's a hard pill to swallow because you gave them your all. And that's the part of the trauma bond that keeps you in that same situation over and over. Because, yeah, narcissists, they're pieces of shit, but they know how to manipulate you in a way where it makes you feel like they loved you in the right way when it wasn't really love. And that's why a lot of people stay in situations longer than they should. It's up until the end of the relationship where you see the true colors of this person. And that's up to you to truly shut the door and put a fuck ton of locks on it and never open it back up. You know, because like I told you, the first mask is they make you go through a guilt trip. And they're like, oh, you're not going to find anybody better. I mean, they're just going to make you feel bad about moving on from them because they don't want that. They want to keep you at arm's length so that way they could use you whenever they want. And if that doesn't work, they're going to put on the mask of a victim. They're going to tell everybody around you that you're such a piece of shit, that you're just this person that just caused so much trauma to them, knowing that they were the problem. You know, people like this, if they were able to manipulate you for such a long time, you don't think that they're going to do that with everybody else around them? People like this are very good at manipulating. It is such a toxic trait that these people carry. And they're so good at it. You know, it's because they're so used to this. You know, narcissists are not just created out of thin air. They've been doing this for a while. And these are the people that are the ones that cause the most hurt, even after the breakup. They're going to go try to turn everybody against you. They're going to try to cause more harm than what you're already going through. And it becomes very dangerous in a way too, because that's where the obsessiveness happens. That's where the threats start happening, instead of people just moving on with their life. Like, I don't understand why people have to still try to hurt somebody after they've broken up. It's like, bro, like how fucking miserable are you that you have to keep trying to inflict pain into somebody that you were once with? Just move on. You know, but narcissists, they don't understand this. They want vengeance. They want to hurt you. You know, especially if they know that you've moved on, that you're happy, that you're living your life. That's gonna kill them inside. And they're gonna do everything in their power to make you seem like the worst person on this planet. You know, and God forbid that people believe them, because it's truly a phenomenon that this happens, because people can't just move forward. You know, they truly want to still do you more harm, especially knowing that they were the issue. And it's truly mind-boggling. You know, I'm pretty sure you guys have experienced people like that. And it's why a lot of people, they end up being back with that same person over and over and over again. And it's a fucking shit show. And like I told you earlier in this episode, we're only here for a short period of time. You know, if you keep going back to the same person, you're wasting your fucking time. There's 8 billion people on this planet. One person cannot have that much control over your life. You have to take that strength inside of you, that you have to create something new out of your own life and not go back to that same shitty situation that you were with. People, they love misery. Misery loves company. And if you broke up with somebody that was always miserable, always not in a good place mentally, unhealed, traumatized, those are people that are going to inflict pain on you forever. And you have to analyze who they are as a person to truly be happy that you moved on from them. Because imagine you would have stayed longer with them. How much more misery were you going to go through? How much more pain were you going to go through? You know, take back your life. Don't let these people get back into your life, because they're gonna try everything. I know I talked about this on the last episode, where a lot of people lie in the very first stages of a relationship. You know, they're trying to impress you. They're trying to sweet talk you. They're going to try to do everything that you like. They're going to agree with everything that you like just to get what they want. You know, see this in the perspective of a narcissist. You know, because they're doing the same exact thing. They're going to try to sweet talk you back. They're going to tell you everything you want to hear. Yeah, I'm going to change. Yeah, I'm going to do better. But no, the fuck they're not. They're not done using you. That's why. Somebody that truly wants to move on with their life, knowing that the relationship was just very toxic or in a place that truly wasn't going to get any better, that people come back just because they love the misery. They're either attached to the trauma, they get addicted to it. And this is what happens with a lot of people. I've seen this happen where two people are in such a toxic relationship that whenever they move forward and they find somebody that's the complete opposite, like truly healed, everything that you ever wanted in a partner, but because you're so used to so much trauma and toxicity, you're not going to be able to receive that in such a healthy way. You're gonna miss the toxicity. You're gonna miss the toxic person because that's what you're used to. And that's why I said earlier, you have to learn how to heal. Create that self-love and self-respect for yourself, which creates that self-awareness to not accept this bullshit back into your life. You have to become self-aware. Analyze who you were with, who you are as a person, and it will make the whole difference in the world. It makes such a difference in the world. And if you don't do that, you're going to keep accepting these energies back. And guess what? You've been there, I'm pretty sure, and it never changed. It's been the same situation, same garbage lies, and you're just stuck in a misery. You're stuck in a hole. It's almost like you're in a prison. And that's why I said, get your life back, claim it back, and do better with your life. Don't stay in a place and you become bitter because of it. Being bitter is only going to make you worse as a person. You're going to build resentment. You're going to start hating that person. And it's only going to do you more harm. Because how is that going to help you move forward and give your best self to somebody that's actually truly ready to give you their all? That's why whenever you break up, whenever you're in a heartbreak, I talked about it earlier, do not go find somebody new, because you're only going to cause more harm to yourself. You have to learn how to move forward and truly do the work to grieve what you just went through. If not, you're going to be in the same situation, just a different body. That's just the way it is. And you have to accept it. I know it's hard. I know it's a lot of painful situations that happen through breakup and heartbreak, but you have to be strong. It takes a lot of our strength, during a time like this. But I believe in you, and you could do it. Everybody could do it. You deserve better. You deserve to be happy. You don't deserve to be in a situation when you're only living in a cage. Do it for the people you love. So going back onto why it's very difficult to move on from a narcissist, because they're stuck in your head in some shape, way, or form. And it's not a good one. And the reason why is because, yeah, you went through a lot of trauma with them, but they actually showed you love as well. And the thing is, the way a narcissist shows love is out of convenience. The way a narcissist loves is very one-directional. They either just buy you purses, they'll take you out to the best places in town, they'll buy you gifts. For them, it's more buying stuff, it's more experience stuff, but they don't do the work where it's needed. So whenever it comes to a point where you're trying to break up with them, they're like, hey, I got you everything. Like, what did I do wrong? It kind of leaves you confused. And that's where they make you feel like shit. And they become the victim. When it comes down to situations where it gets tough, they're usually the ones that just run. They don't sit there and try to work things out, because they're just very one-directional. Like, they're like, no, I already loved you over here, so that should be enough. And they don't understand that love is not just everything that you're supposed to do. And they don't understand that love is not just everything. It's trust, respect, it's nurturing, it's communication. And like I said, that's just very one directional with the narcissist. And they don't understand it. They don't realize that because they're accustomed to living this way. And that's how they guilt trip you. And then whenever you have an issue with them, it becomes about them. It's crazy how that works, huh? Like you have this issue, you come up to them and you bring up something that's been bothering you. And for some reason, at the end of the talk or the argument, it ended up just being about them. It's like, no, well, it's because of me and this and that. It's just me. Because narcissists are very selfish. It's all about them. They don't see perspectives of what pain they cause to other people. They're not even capable of it. People like that are not empathetic, and they don't understand the damage that they do to other people. They don't. It's reasons why they keep hurting other people. If they were more self-aware, maybe they would have changed. Maybe they would have done better, but they're not capable of it. So if you're dealing with somebody like this, you got to ask yourself that question, like, do I continue? Do I keep talking it out? But sometimes it's not even worth it. Sometimes the answer is already in front of you. You can never talk your way out of a narcissistic, abusive relationship. You just cannot. It's such a poison for you if you stay in there. And the longer you stay, the longer the resentment's going to stay. The longer the resentment's going to actually evolve, because you should have just walked out a long time ago when you saw the red flags, or whenever you're actually realizing that this person is not good for you. And that's why a lot of people stay in that same situation. And narcissists are very good, like I said, at manipulating the situation so that way they get what they need. Narcissists can never just move forward. They cannot. Like I mentioned earlier, they will do everything in their power, and they have many masks during the relationship and even after. It's not just a breakup. It's not just something, oh, I'm just going to move on with my life. No, fuck no. You're not done with them. And it takes a lot of fucking strength. It takes a lot of steps that you have to do, which takes a lot of courage. You know, you have to learn how to ignore them. You have to block them. These are the people you have to truly block. You cannot give them access to where they could easily reach out to you. Because like I said, they're going to try to manipulate the situation to get you back. You have to be strong. You have to understand that this person is only going to do you more harm than good. And the faster you realize this, the better you're going to be off. You deserve to be happy. Don't stay in a situation that is only causing you misery. A lot of people stay in situations, like I said earlier, because of the kids. But are you showing the kids a loving home? Or are you showing the kids a home that daddy and mommy are always fighting? And they think that that's love. You know, we all talk about how fucked up this dating scene is right now. How messed up it is out there right now. It's such a fucking shit show to date right now. And I talked about this, I think it was in one of my first episodes, of dating in this modern day and age, of the difficulties of how it is out there and why it's so fucked up and why it's so hard to find somebody that's genuine. And going back to my point is, we are responsible for the next generation. We are responsible to show our kids better. Because if it's already bad right now with young people, with adults, and they're not able to handle it right now, imagine our kids. Like, I pray for our kids of what they're about to walk into. And I have a son, and I have a duty because of that. And I think that's why I'm so motivated with these episodes and these next episodes I'm about to put out, because I think it's going to be a guide for my son, not just for everybody that's listening, but in the future for those that I love, because the way that the world is shaping up to be, it is truly scary. It truly is. I don't think we've ever gone through anything like this. And it all started like in 2010, maybe, whenever MySpace was around and Facebook started to be a big thing. And I think it really got bad when like 2015, when Instagram started coming out and all these dating apps are around. And it's honestly been a downhill shit show from there. It truly has been. It hasn't been anything beneficial for relationships at all. It truly hasn't. So like, we are in a position right now in our life that we're experiencing something new. But if we have the capabilities to change, to show our kids how to love, what is love, I think they'll be in a better situation that we are in right now. And I get emotional, just talking about it, because, I don't want my son to go through all this shit. Like, yeah, everybody has to go through it, and we have to go through pain to learn things. Yeah, but if we're able to at least express what's out there, make them aware, make them know what self-love is, self-respect, I think that goes such a long way. And people will stop accepting bullshit into their life. They set standards. We have to show our kids how to set standards very young. Because if we don't, they're going to receive a fuck ton of attention that they shouldn't be receiving. It's never been such a terrible situation right now in the world because of social media and the phones that the kids have. And fuck, man, it's a scary thought of what the future holds for our children. And like I said right now, if you are in a situation with a narcissist or somebody that truly isn't good for you, fucking walk away. Don't fucking stay there. Especially if you have kids. You're only showing them worse. You're only showing them what love isn't. Like, genuinely. Don't act like you're in love. Fucking people could pick that up. Even children could pick that up. And if they don't, you're teaching them the wrong thing. I hate that people stay in situations that they should be gone from. Because you're only hurting the future, because you're only showing a new generation on what love isn't. It starts with us. It truly starts right now to make the change. Like I said, we're going through something new, something that we've never experienced not even our grandparents experienced this, not even our parents. Some parents haven't even experienced this. This social media thing that's been going on, it's new for our generation. Our grandparents never had social media. Why do you think a lot of our grandparents stayed together for years? Why do you think that traditional roles worked back then? Because there wasn't social media. People weren't looking at other options while they were with somebody that they said that they love. That's why relationships work. There was traditional roles that everybody took their role in and actually committed to it. Now fucking guys, they don't even want to open the door for their women. They don't want to protect them. Now women are just showing their bodies out in fucking public, exposing it to their whole fucking world. And they expect to get with the man, and they think that they're special because they show their body out to the whole world. No, it's not. Nothing's ever special anymore. And people are not taking this serious. And then people wonder why they get used. People think that they're doing the right thing. But the thing is nobody's corrected them. They follow the trends of social media. They follow the trends of what's happening on TV, reality shows, which isn't real. And they're getting influenced this way. This is what's happening. And this is the modern day and age of people getting brainwashed. But the thing is, you're brainwashing your children. This goes to all the parents listening. Like, if you're doing any of this, you're showing your children what isn't right, especially if you're doing something that's not right. Be an example to them. Show them what a true man is, to be masculine, to keep your word, to protect your woman, to open up their door, to do everything that a guy's supposed to do, especially for a woman as well. A woman to be feminine, how to dress modest, how to talk in a certain way in a certain place. Like, don't be too out there. Don't be just having guy friends. There's a lot of these situations where a lot of bad happens because of the bad habits that are created by the influence that you have in your life. And it could be through your friends. It could be through the shows you watch. It could be any of that. But understand that your children are watching. You might think that they're not, but they are. They easily could pick up any trait that you're doing. And they feel it. But what example are you going to set? Do you want your own children to go through what you're going through? If it's bad? No, if it's good and you're doing a great job, I salute you. Because not many people are doing that right now. I see many parents, and I'm not even gonna give examples because I don't want to pinpoint some situations that I've seen. But some people are just showing their kids the wrong things. They're letting their own kids do things that are just not normal, things that us as kids weren't even doing. And this is the new generation that we have to protect. We have to be their influence. We have to be that rock for them. We can't just be a magnifying glass to everything that we're going through. If that makes sense. Because they're going to see through our lens. Because we're living in the way of the world. And they're going to see that. We have to do the complete opposite. And be an example to them. And like I said earlier, I'm not telling you guys what to do. I'm not telling you go break up with your fucking boyfriend or girlfriend or husband, wife, whatever. But just truly analyze who you're with. I just talked about the narcissist on what they do. They're going to keep you in a relationship longer because they want to use you. Especially if it's a person that you've tried to make things right and they don't change. That could be an indication of a narcissist. It's somebody that told you that they're going to change and they don't. They don't take you serious. They don't love you. That's not love. When somebody truly loves somebody, they're going to do everything in their power to be the best version of themselves for their partner. So just be wary about it, okay? I have a lot of love for you guys. You guys are showing me love by listening to these podcasts and hearing my input on this. I might be wrong. I might be right about some things, but damn it, I do my research. And I just want to report things that are out there, through statistics, through what people are going through personal experience, and what I've done and what I've seen people do that actually works. I'm not just going to give you guys garbage. No, because I want you guys to succeed. I want you guys to do better. I want to help you guys out. I truly do. Like I said in my last episode, I think it's something like we all need somebody. We all need that person that gives us that good guidance. And I wish I had that, through the times that I was going through the hardships in my life. I truly wish somebody was there just to tell me a lot of the things that I'm talking about, because we're sometimes blind to a lot of situations and we do not know what to do. But if somebody is there to remind you of who you are, of what you deserve, yeah, it's a validation. And sometimes, we have to be stronger and not use the validation from others. But when you're in such a very hard place, that's honestly all you could take. That's all you could truly take to heart. And it helps. It goes a long way. Somebody to listen to you, somebody to actually talk to you in a genuine way. We all go through it. We all go through these experiences, and it's unfortunate that there's a lot of evil in this world that we have to put up with. Let's be that light. Be that bright light that truly changes the way of the world. Because there's already too much misery. There's already too much darkness. And we do not want to live in a place of darkness. So going back to the narcissist on what they do, and this is after the breakup has happened. I did touch base a lot on what they do during the relationship, on what they try to manipulate you with, and keep you there longer than you should be. But after, they do try to flip everybody on you. They try to destroy your life. They try to attack you from any different situations. It could be your own friends. It could be them talking shit to them, making shit up, and that person trying to turn your friends against you. That's what narcissists do. They're not done with you. They want to see you suffer, especially when they couldn't get you back. There's levels to this shit. They're going to try, like I said, the guilt trip. They're going to try to make you feel like shit because you left them. And then they're going to go into the victim mode. And if that doesn't work, they're going to try to turn everybody against you, even your own friends. Who knows the extremes of somebody like this? Because I almost feel like this is fucking psychotic fucking level. Because that's not normal. When somebody truly just wants to move forward with their life, they'll move forward with their life and in a healthy manner. That's what, in a perfect world, we hope for. But sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes they try to come back and do more harm to you. They'll start stalking you. They'll start looking through your social media and try to attack you from different angles. It could be any way. For women, it's become very dangerous too. They don't just walk away. And I'm sorry for women that have gone through this, but man, it's very difficult, just to be a woman in a place of guys like this. I can't speak for you guys, but I salute you guys, especially the ones that have learned how to move on from people like this, because I'm pretty sure it's not easy. But you have to do everything in your power to avoid contact. Make sure that they're blocked, that they don't have no access to you, so that way you're able to move in peace. Even if they try to cause chaos in your life, you're going to be in a position, if you've done the work to heal, to find that peace. It's no longer going to bother you like it did in the beginning. Especially once you see the true colors. Like, who wants to go back to fucking somebody that's crazy? Or who wants to go back to somebody that has actually moved on, but like so quick? Like you always see that, somebody breaks up and then next week they're with somebody new. That person is traumatized or unhealed. They're a red flag. They're a walking red flag. And thank God that you walked away from them, because you dodged the big bullet. Be proud of yourself, especially in situations like that, because it's hard to miss a person like that. It's more to miss a person that actually move forward and they're actually doing amazing things in their life, not doing the bad things. Because everybody wants somebody good. They don't want somebody that's doing bad. And you only miss the good. You don't miss the bad. So these narcissists that cannot find peace on their own, I've seen cases where people almost have to get restraining orders for these people to leave them alone. And it's unfortunate. That's what I said. Like, breaking up with a narcissist is next level. It's not just a breakup. And it's easy to pick up the traits of a narcissist towards the end of a relationship. You know, once they're already kind of like bored with you and they want to go find something new, because that's what they do. They're always bored. They'll get bored quick. And like I talked about earlier, a narcissist, they don't understand what love is. So like any situation, any relationship that they build with a friend, co-worker, anybody like that, if that narcissist wants to use them, they're going to manipulate the situation so that way they could get what they want out of that person. You know, it's like they always need validation. They always need something for them. They're very selfish people, and they don't see love in a healthy manner. So that interaction that you have with them very late in the relationship, it's going to almost expose them, because a narcissist cannot hide who they are. Like, if you're with somebody for many years and they've shown you these signs very early on, you gave them the benefit of the doubt for such a long time. And the thing is you guys had those talks. You guys try to talk it out. You guys try to make things work. You guys try to go through therapy. But the thing is, narcissists, when they go through therapy, they'll lie to the therapist. So that way it could benefit them. So they're not always going to be fully honest with the therapist. So they're not just manipulating you, they're manipulating the therapist. You know, a person like this, they'll manipulate everybody. Like I said, they'll manipulate anybody in that situation that they're in for their own benefit. They're very selfish people. They're not honest people. So they're always going to try to be the good person in everybody's story. And if you know somebody like that, fuck, you're dealing with a narcissist. Narcissists are known for this. Therapy will not help them. They need God at that point. You know, like, I hate saying it that way, but they need fucking God. They need something more, because they cannot talk to somebody, because whoever they talk to, they're going to manipulate them. You know, they're going to always be the victim. They're always going to be the good person in the relationship, or they're always going to they're going to fuck the whole situation up, and they're going to manipulate anybody in their way. Anybody that they're with, anybody new. You know, it's the same fuckery. That's why these people are always miserable. Like, they're never happy. They might act like they are. They're great actors. It's reasons why they've gotten so far doing this. You know, and understand what you're potentially dealing with, or what you potentially lost, that you should be happy for. That you never need somebody like that back in your life, because they're only going to cause you so much misery in your life. You're so much better off without them, and you deserve happiness. You know, there's already too much fuckery in the world to be dealing with people like this. We all go through many situations in life. We all have many problems already outside relationships. So why add this fucking big problem with somebody that is just a piece of shit? Like, they're not going to change, and they're always going to cause you more issues, and you're going to be in a cage. So be aware of it. Be aware, analyze, and truly take this to heart. You know, I'm trying to give you guys the best knowledge. The best knowledge I could give you guys is through the research that I've done, my experiences, the stories that I've heard. I've tattooed probably 1,000 people, if not more, in my career. And I've heard hundreds of stories. And I just sit there. I'm like, fuck, man, I wish I could help them out, you know. And this is very early on. This is when I was truly interacting more with my clients. And it truly hurts me, because a lot of people are in pain right now. They feel lonely. They feel stuck. They don't know what to do. And only if I had the right words back then, I was like, fuck, man, I could have potentially been that voice, so that way they could potentially make a difference in their life, or to make a permanent change in their life. because as the years went on and I reconnected with these clients, through pieces that they wanted in the future, they were either stuck in the same situation years later and they're like, fuck, like they're just miserable. I see them unhappy and it truly breaks my heart for them. And sometimes people just need to hear the truth. They need to hear a different perspective. And that could be the change into creating that new space in your life. It's going to make you commit to something different mentally. And now that I've been able to learn this, to learn a lot about the relationships and what happens and my experiences and stories that I've heard, I've been able to actually help people out, even through my tattoo sessions. Maybe I should have added that in my sponsorship commercial, but I'm going to give you guys an extra charge if I do that. No, just kidding, but I truly hope this helps, guys. I truly do, because we all go through a fuck ton of problems in our life, and heartbreaks and breakups just add more to it, and it truly changes our mentality during that time, and we feel like we're in the worst place in the world. Like, we just feel miserable, feel like utterly shit at that point. And I think we could do better, by everything that I told you guys today. Like I said, grieve the pain, understand it, analyze it, and become better after. Do not ignore the pain. If you ignore it, you're only going to do more worse for yourself. You're going to self-sabotage yourself, and you're not going to understand who you are as a human being. Because sometimes through the hardest situations, the hardest lessons in life, it's when we learn who we truly are as a person. The true colors come out. And I hope it's the good colors, not the bad colors. So just be aware about that. So with much love, guys, thank you guys for listening. I truly appreciate you guys. Yeah, this one was a little deep. It really was. And I thank you guys for staying in through this whole entire episode. And I'm going to give you my best version. I'm going to give you guys the best knowledge I know through these next episodes I'm going to be putting out. I will be talking a lot about business. I'm going to be starting to talk about tattooing, a lot of my tattoo experiences. I might throw in some tattoo diaries in there, some stories of what I've gone through in my tattoo career. I just want to bring you guys as much possible knowledge, and not just give you knowledge and the truth and stuff like that, but I do want to entertain you guys too. I don't want to just sound boring through all these damn podcasts. I know it's going to help you guys out, but I feel like we all need some laughter in our life. We all need some more smiles, because there's just too many frowns right now, and it's unfortunate. But you guys do better. I'm proud of you guys for the ones that actually do the work. And you guys are going to be in a better position, I promise you. So thank you guys for listening. Much love. Luna out.